Hey, what's a gaming console that you feel like doesn't get any kind of recognition? Like, I don't think it's a stretch to say that towards the mid-90s, it seems like Sega was on a mission to unalive themselves. Cause the way they fumbled after the Sega Genesis dropped, it really needs to be studied. A lot of people think the Dreamcast is what killed Sega, but no. That ain't the case at all. If anything, this should have been the console that saved Sega. But you want to know why Sega fell off so hard? It was the Sega Saturn, one of the most forgettable and untalked about gaming consoles in history. And the thing is, it wasn't even a bad console, but the way that it was developed and produced pretty much was a major L. First of all, the marketing for this console was atrocious. Then when the PS1 dropped, Sega got scared and pretty much rushed the release of this console. On top of that, the hardware for this console was so difficult to develop games for that it barely had any third-party games for it. On top of that, it lacked first-party titles. Like, how do you develop a console that's capable of 3D graphics but don't drop a 3D Sonic game? So the library outside of Japan was extremely limited. Not to mention, it dropped the same year as the PS1 and 1 year before the N64. So these were their competitions. The Sega Saturn worldwide only sold 9.26 million units versus the PlayStation 1, which sold 102.49 million. Like, bro, you know it's bad when a console sells less than another console that was considered a commercial failure. The N64 technically was not a success. It only sold 32.92 million units, but that's still nearly 23 million units more than the Sega Saturn. Hell, technically the Sega Genesis wasn't that great. It only sold 30.75 million units. But to go from 30 million to 9, biggest fumbles in gaming. So when it comes to gaming consoles that no one talks about, I think the Sega Saturn is the best example of that. There was hardly any games for it and barely anyone had one, so what is there to talk about? So before you blame the Dreamcast, which was actually a great console and more powerful than any other console in its generation, you really should be blaming the Sega Saturn for why Sega don't make consoles no more.